welcome to Maths Crunch. So here at Maths Crunch, I create videos to help with Key Stage 3 and Key Stage 4 tips in maths. If you don't know already, I do have a TikTok and an Instagram account that is at Maths Crunch, where I post short videos to help us with some of our topics in maths. So today I'm going to be doing a video about one-step equations. And solving these. I can see that through my Instagram and TikTok accounts. Many people are often asking questions about this topic, so I thought I'd make a video to help us out with that. So here in my question, I'm asked to solve 8x equals 88. When I see the word solve, I need to find the value of x, okay, that unknown, okay? So in algebra, when I have a number and a letter next to each other, I can insert a multiplication sign between the two, okay? So the number and the letter means to multiply. So here I've got 8 multiplied by x. So x is representing an unknown number right now, and we need to find the value of that unknown number. So 8 times x equals 88 is what I have written. That's what I have in my question. Now to find the value of x, that means I want x to be on one side of my equal sign, and then I want a number to be on the other side of my equal sign. Right now, I've got 8 multiplied by x. I don't want my x to be multiplied by 8. I want it to be by itself. So how can I get rid of this multiplying by 8? Well, I need to do the opposite of multiply. And the opposite of multiply, or the inverse operation, those words are interchangeable. We can say opposite or inverse. We divide, okay? So the opposite of multiplying is to divide. So we're going to divide by the same number, which is 8. Now, the rule is for equations, what I do on one side of the equation is the same thing that I need to do on the other side. So I've divided by 8 on one side of my equation, meaning I need to divide by 8 on the other side of my equation as well. Okay, so now I have 8 times x divided by x. Well, I know 8 divided by 8 is 1, so that's going to just leave me with x on one side of my equation. And so x equals, which is what I want to find that x. Now I have 88 divided by 8, okay? And 88 divided by 8, I know is 11. So that means the value of x is 11. Here now, I am told to solve 3x equals 24. So again, I know that I can insert that multiplication sign between the 3 and the x. That's going to give me 3 times x equals 24, okay? Now, I can use inverse operations to find the value of x. Instead of multiplying x by 3, I am now going to do the inverse of that. And so I'm going to divide by 3. What I do on one side of my equation, I must replicate on the other side. I must do the same thing on the other side. So I need to also divide by 3. That is going to leave me with 3 divided by 3 times x, and that's going to give me just 1x, or we can say x. Yeah? And that's going to equal 24 divided by 3, and I know that that is 8. Okay? So the value of x here is 8. Now I can check my answer by saying, okay, does 3 times 8 equal 24? And it does. So that is how I know I am correct. And now I'm given another question, and that is to solve x over 6 equals 9. So again, I need to find that value of x. Now in algebra, when I have a variable over a constant, that means to divide. So this x over 6 is the same as saying x divided by 6 equals 9, okay? And I want to find x on one side. I want to have x, and then on the other side, I want to have a number. So x equals to something. That's what I'm looking for. Right now, I've got x divided by 6. I need to do the inverse of division to get rid of that 6 on this side. Okay, I'm trying to get rid of 6, so I just have x. How do I do the opposite of divide? Well, I need to multiply. Okay, so I multiply it by 6 on both sides. This is going to leave me with x divided by 6 times 6. So that's just going to sum to 1. So it's going to be 1x, or we can just say x. We keep that equal sign, and now we have 9 multiplied by 6, which we can say is 54. So that means x is equal to 54. How do I check that I'm correct? Well, I go back into my original equation. If I put 54 there instead of x, does 54 divided by 6 equal 9? Well, yes, it does. So my answer is correct. So we have x over 11, and we know that in algebra, when we have a fraction, it can mean divide, okay? So here we have x divided by 11 equals 13. Now again, to solve this equation, I want to have x on one side of my equation and a number on the other side. So I need to get rid of this divided by 11. How do I get rid of dividing? Well, I need to do the inverse operation. What is the inverse or the opposite of divide? Well, it is to multiply. So I multiply it by 11. I multiply by 11 on one side, and I must do the same thing on the other side. So I multiply both sides by 11. Now I know that I'm going to have x on this side of my equation, and I'm going to have that equal sign in the same place. Now I'm going to have 13 multiplied by 11. Now, just because these are bigger numbers than we're used to, it does not mean the approach is any different. So I'm going to just work that out on here. So I'm not going to try and do it in my head. I'm just going to say 13 times 11, 3 times 1 is 3, 1 times 1 is 1. I put that 0 where it needs to be. 1 times 3 is 3, and 1 times 1 is 1. I now need to add the 2. So 3 add 0 is 3, 1 add 3 is 4, and 1 add 0 is 1. So that means x is 13 times 11, which is 143. That looks a bit different, but requires the same working. So here in this question, we're asked to solve x to the power of 2 equals 36. So I need to find the value of just x, okay? So I know that if I have a variable or a number to the power of 2, that means that number is being squared. To find the value of x, I need to do the inverse of squaring, and that is to square root. So x squared means x multiplied by x. I want to find x by itself, so I take the square root of x squared. Now, if I take the square root of x squared, I need to do the same thing to the other side, and I need to take the square root of 36. Now, the square root of x squared is just going to leave me with x, and I'm going to keep that equal sign there. And I know, thinking about square numbers, that the square root of 36 is 6, because I know that 6 multiplied by 6 is 36. So that means the square root of 36 is 6. Therefore, x equals 6. Now I'm going to look at a question that has x to the power of 3 equals 27. So here, x to the power of 3 is the same as saying x cubed. And how do I find x? If I'm given the value of x cubed, well, I need to find the cube root. Okay, so I need to do the inverse of cubing, and that is to find the cubed root. And that is how we write that. Now, if I find the cube root of x to the power of 3, I need to do the same thing to the other side. So I'm finding the cubed root of 27, and that is the same as saying what number multiplies by itself 3 times to get to 27. That number is going to be 3. So to find the cube root of x to the power of 3, I'm going to just be left with x. I keep my equal sign, and the number multiplied by itself 3 times to make 27 is 3. So x equals 3. So this question now is asking to find the value of x if the square root of x is equal to 9. Now again, we're doing the same thing here. We're finding the inverse operation. So the inverse of square rooting is to square. So I need to square the square root of x to find the value of x. And if I'm squaring that square root of x, I need to square the other side of my equation as well, which is 9. So I'm squaring 9. So on one side of my equation, I'm going to be left with just x, and that is going to be equal to 9 times 9, because 9 squared is the same as saying 9 times 9, and 9 times 9 is 81, so x is equal to 81. In this question, I'm asked to solve for x, where x subtract 8 equals 17. So I want to have x on one side and a number on the other side of my equal sign. Right now, the negative or subtract 8 is in the way of me just having x on one side. So I need to do the inverse of subtract 8, and that is to add 8. I'm going to add 8 on both sides. This means I'm going to have x, take away 8, add 8. That's just going to leave me with x, because negative 8 and add 8 gives me 0. So I have x on one side, and then I'm going to have that equal to 17, add 8. Now all that's left for me to do is to add 17 and 8 together, and that equals 25. So x equals 25. So those were a few examples that I hope were helpful for one-step equations. If you have any other questions, please do drop a comment below and I'll get back to you. And if you have any other topics that you'd like to see covered on this channel, please do drop a comment and I will do my best to get those covered. In the meantime, please do subscribe for further content on this channel, and share with your friends to anyone that you might think will benefit from this. Hope everyone's taking care of themselves, and I will see you in the next video.